Hello and welcome to the Rodpod. Today I have Tara, online fitness coach, weight loss expert. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks.
Thanks
Thank you.
for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's so nice to be the other side and sit and relax and just have a chat now rather than, oh, sorry, already.
Yeah, don't worry. It's going to happen.
Rather than being the other side.
Yeah.
Because like I mentioned briefly just now, I've got a little podcast myself. So
That's
it's
cool.
yeah, nice to be the other side. Thank you.
How do people watch the podcast?
So I'm just audio at the moment. Most
Yeah.
of the time I've got like my dressing gown on and I haven't done my hair or my makeup or something.
Right.
So it's on Spotify and like the Apple podcasts then.
Oh, cool.
So I don't actually film my face. It's nice to not have my face on something sometimes because, you know, it's like with social media.
Yeah,
We've got to be
yeah.
up there, haven't we?
Yeah, cool. Right, so tell us about what you're doing right now at the moment on social media, because I know you've got an amazing following on Instagram and it looks great and you can see the results of your work. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, of course. So, like you mentioned, I'm an online coach. So I've got the Life Transformer program, which I do with all of my ladies. So basically, within the program, I'm helping women to transform their lives, basically, you know, through fitness, nutrition, behavior change. So I am a personal trainer, and I'm an evidence-based nutritionist and behavior change coach, and more recently as well, an intuitive psychology coach as well. So yeah, it's incredible. And you know, through my social media, I show how women can, in a very smart way, make some changes to their days and their habits so that they can feel better. You know, ultimately, that's what everybody wants, isn't it? And, you know, life is busy. It's never going to get less busy. And there's never going to be less temptation, I suppose, you know, with everything in life that people struggle to kind of manage. And yeah, that we absolutely can do all of the things that we love and feel our best at the same time.
Well, that's good that, like, you're not kind of like saying no to having treats and things like that, because it's like I've always struggled. And when I have to buy like chocolate bars and sweets for the kids, I find it very difficult not to go into the cupboard, and, you know, but you're not saying that, are you? You just, it looks like you're kind of like, you're counting the calories and you're setting a plan that suits you and isn't too difficult.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, if it's too difficult, it's going to be too hard to stick to, isn't it? And I think that that's the issue that so many people have. I mean, you know, we could go on about this for the whole time, I suppose, chatting, is that we should never be demonizing any food, you know, chocolate, crisps, sandwiches, even, you know, one of my clients I was chatting with yesterday, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible. I had a fish finger sandwich. It's like, it's fine, you know. More often than not, it's the reaction to these things which is more harmful. You know, if people want to have a glass of wine, that is absolutely fine, but it's like with everything, it's managing the amount. I mean, you can drink too much water, so it's about portion control and managing. And like you say, you know, the exposure that we've got to these things, it's not going to go away. If you've got children, there's a really good chance you're going to have some little goodies for them, you know, and or, you know, if you've got a partner or friends that love to have a little drink of wine or, you know, a cheese board or whatever it is, and you're like, do you know, I really love this. This is like, makes me feel so good and so happy. Just make sure it's in there. The last thing you want is somebody to come along and say, right, let's remove everything that you love in life now in the process of trying to make you love your life. Like, you're not going to hate yourself to happiness, and you're not going to restrict yourself to happiness. Because again, number one, when you have those things, you're going to feel guilty. So you've got that emotional kind of response then. And secondly, if you remove them all completely and you get some great results, what happens then when you want to go to maintenance? You're like, oh, can I get these things back? But I don't know how to deal with them. You know, so in the process, learn to love and live your life while you work on your behaviors then.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I think a lot of people, including myself, when I try and eat, you know, let's say really healthy to kind of get a bit leaner, lose weight, I tend to cut all the treats out. And then obviously I go a bit nuts on them. Like I'll eat half a pack of Twixes or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I've got to try and learn to incorporate the treats and everything, and eat like a normal person, I
Yeah,
suppose.
absolutely. And that's, a part of that binge restrict cycle, which a lot of people have got experience of. They think,
Yeah.
right, I want to get a bit leaner, lose some weight to be healthier. So now I've got to cut out all of those things. And, for a temporary thing, if somebody had like great foundations to start with in the first place, a great relationship with food and a very balanced approach, then yeah, you can do these kind of temporary multiphasic approaches to, I want to, drop a couple of pounds before I go on my holiday. But if there is still this, again, fractured relationship with food, and you're part of that all or nothing thinking, that's like one of the biggest things that people are struggling with. It's like, I'm either all in or I'm out doing it, and then when one tiny thing goes wrong, they hit one little speed bump, it's like, oh my gosh, what's the point? I'm going back and now I'm going to eat, a whole pack of Twixes, and then it's just that cycle then of, oh, I'm a terrible person. I can't stick to this. I'm useless. I'm never going to lose weight. And it's because the method was it was going to fail you anyway, So the approach of a more balanced way, is you have to work then on not just the physiological changes, but the psychological changes and how you can change and support your environment as well.
Yeah, I suppose when you mentioned the psychological changes, that's not something that a lot of people really kind of tend to think about and focus on, really,
Yeah.
without being prompted,
Yeah.
because I suppose it is a huge the psychological implications of not eating right or binge eating, like you just mentioned, seem to be quite, important.
It's number one. The thing
Yeah.
is, you can go and get as many workout plans as you want and
Yeah.
meal plans as you want. What if you don't do them? It's everything that's going on up here, It's
Exactly.
everything in your head. And this is why I've done so much about like behavior change. So I've done, binge eating disorder course and the behaviors with that, because, whether it's binge eating disorder or things like, disinhibited eating, just general overeating,
Yeah.
there's going to be similar kind of stories that we're going to be telling ourselves on, what's going on when we're eating food and that. And yeah, the psychology on this is massive. How are we managing our emotions? What's our stress response? When we have one little hiccup, how are we reacting there? So, there's a lot that we can be learning, and it's all behavior changes. Psychology is the biggest part of this.
Yeah. So obviously you implement that into your clients and the people, who want to lose weight. You're going to be implementing all that, the psychology,
Yeah,
behind it.
100%.
Oh,
The accountability is what's critical, It's I very often say, to many people say, oh, I've done my workouts now and I think I'm going to go and try and do this on my own. And it's like, no, this is the biggest part. If you want to be successful in changing your life, there's two things that are going to be so important. Get yourself a coach and get yourself a supportive community, because it will be harder on your own. And, whenever you get a drop in your mood or you're tired, none of us make our best decisions then or have the best conversations with ourselves. And that could be, just the time then where someone's like, screw this, where's the ice cream? The kids have done my head in today. I need that bottle of wine. My boss was on at me earlier on today. I'm going to get a Chinese and then I'm going to watch Married at First Sight with the Pringles and Maltesers or whatever it is that people are doing, and this is where you need the exposure to some great support, with again, like I said, a coach and a great community, because when you've got your community, these are the people that are on the front line, these are the ones that are doing it with you. And, even though I've shared with a lot of my clients, the struggles that I go through in life, I'm a human being, just like you, just like everyone, we're all navigating life. But they do look at me as their coach, their guide, so, very often people can think, oh, well, kind of like, what does she know type thing, which I get and I understand. And it's really important that I share my struggles as well with my clients, so that they can see, oh, actually, this is a life thing. This is, we're all going to go through different experiences, and we need as much support as possible. So yeah, the accountability, which comes with a program like what I've got with the girls is the number one thing, to support what's going on in your head.
Yeah, well, it's like human beings are kind of tribal, aren't we? We're supposed to have different jobs and work as like a tribe, like a community, and we kind of lost that, I think, in recent years. So having that support sounds like really motivating.
Yeah.
And really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched, have you seen the Jungle Book? I think it's like the real life one. So there was this, so he lived with the wolves, didn't he? And I'm probably going to butcher this now, but he said, Mowgli, something like, the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. They were all together, and that is it. We all need each other.
I agree.
The strength of us all is the support that we've got. So and we've all got like this such a valuable part to play with the people that we surround ourselves by, but that we are helping and supporting as well. So we all need each other.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's really, really important. Yeah. So what you said earlier about is it performance-based nutrition?
So evidence-based.
Evidence-based. Yeah. So can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So basically, I mean, it's obviously guided by the evidence that's out there. I did the course with Martin McDonald, incredible, like absolute legend when it comes to nutrition. And the course was solid. It was so hard. I went to university when I was young. I did a sports science degree, and this was just so much tougher than that, but amazing, absolutely amazing. I was delighted when I passed it. But over the years, I've been doing this for 25 years now. I'm ancient, and ancient. And I celebrated my 25th anniversary years ago. It was on the 4th of September. We went out on the 6th to altitude 28. So it's nice to celebrate. Anyway, so over the years then, I've done all sorts of courses, and I was very much as well part of and believe in, carbohydrates, terrible. And, we've got to be, I was having coconut oil in my coffee and all of this stuff. So I had the time to sprout my own seeds and, going quite extreme with it all. And I literally wasn't eating like any bread, pasta, potatoes myself, just like a whole load of people out there, because that's, the messages and the training that I was having as well. And I can remember then going on a course and thinking, I don't know if I quite agree with this, and I don't know how how my advice is going out there to other people. So I started following Martin. And I thought, this is an absolute no-brainer. This is the way that it's got to go, is looking at the studies, looking at the evidence. And, there's obviously still much more to do. There's, constantly learning all of the time. But with the evidence-based nutrition, it was, so good to help me to be able to advise my clients better. And, to be very open-minded with it as well. There's evidence, and there's also the experience as well of me, working with women and men, over the years, so much, and my own experiences. But it's all guided by the science, and I still do, continuing professional development with Martin and the mentoring lab. The best of the best are always educating on all sorts of things. Then, people are living with like IBS, PCOS, the jabs, weight loss jabs now, there's all of these things that are out there. And the advice can be so conflicting as well,
Well,
it's
that's it.
confusing.
That's why I was intrigued, because evidence-based nutrition, that sounds really interesting, because you're using the evidence as, because I think nutrition has always, I think things have changed in the last 10 years with nutrition in terms of what we think about fats and carbohydrates. And I think we're kind of like learning through evidence that, fats are essential.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't be shy of of fats and
Absolutely, and carbs as well.
Yeah.
Like only literally last year, I discovered frozen jacket potatoes. I'm like, how did I not know this? Because I was, I must have done something with a potato in a reel, and someone commented and was like, why don't you ever recommend the frozen jacket potatoes? I'm like, because I've never heard of them, and now I'm like buying them all of the time, But it was because I didn't have potatoes in my life for so long, because again, it was like, oh, carbs going to make me put on weight, but now obviously I do have them, and Danny, my little boy, is pasta is one of his favorite things.
Yeah.
But again, when it comes to like evidence-based stuff, you can still get confused with that as well. Because like when you go onto the internet, you'll see, if you go on some other podcasts and watch those, you see this one person is on there, and completely amazing person, really intelligent, probably 95% of what they say is like absolute spot on, but then they'll gravitate so far one way on something, and it's like, oh my gosh, really? Do we need to start doing this? And then it's like, do I need like continuous glucose monitoring with these things on my arm, which only then like make people feel, oh my gosh, like I'm freaking out. Like I was looking at my monitor and my blood sugars are this, and now I'm not sleeping because I looked at my app and it said my deep sleep wasn't long enough last night, and that stressed me out, and now I'm not sleeping because of that. And it's like, is there too much information that we're being exposed to here? So I think that we've got to try and take on board these messages that we're watching, with a bit of critical thinking, and but what is really tough is these super intelligent people will 95% of the time be absolutely spot on with what they're saying, but they'll all have these little things that they'll be like, oh, you've really got to do this, and that's why I'll always go to Martin McDonald with mine, because like I know that he's a nutritionist, and that is what his thing is, whereas there's other people that they're amazing, but they might be like a endocrinologist or something. There might be something else, and they've got great nutrition knowledge. But Martin all the way for me.
I'll check him out. I hadn't heard of him, but it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, and there's loads of great ones out there as well, like Lee Norton. I really love him as well, and he's part of the evidence-based education. So there's some really good ones out there. Ben Carpenter as well. I love following him. So I think what is good, like you say, over the last 10 years, is that things have changed. We've got these great people now with big platforms, isn't it? That we can be educated by. But again, there are others out there that we can get confused by as well. And I suppose, like, do what feels good for you. I mean, look at the Liver King.
Works for you.
I don't know if you've seen the Liver King, but like he's like eating like raw animals, and like as eggs are coming out of a chicken's butt, they go straight in his mouth, and you're like, oh my gosh, so, but if you want to go and do that, go and do that.
Whatever works, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm not here to judge you.
I follow, what's his name, Paul Saladino, Carnivore MD. Have you heard of him?
Right, I think I might have seen.
He's a bit like the Liver King, but he's a doctor and a psychiatrist. But he comes up with some interesting stuff. He basically only eats meats, fruit. He doesn't eat any vegetables. Which I find quite interesting. But so there is lots of different people, lots of different opinions. But it's quite difficult to pick out. I suppose you've got to take the best and leave the rest with certain things.
Absolutely. And I think that's like with everything in life, isn't it? Like what method works for you. Like if those guys are happy with never having a glass of wine again and never eating a prawn cocktail Pringle or whatever, go and do that. But for me, with like my life on the things that I enjoy, I wouldn't want to do a keto diet or anything like that. I'd like a balance of a little bit of all the little things that I love, and if I feel great, then happy days.
I'm the same. What's your view on intermittent fasting? Is that something that you think works? Or
I think it can. I think it can be really beneficial. But again, I think that if people are going to use that to help them to lose weight, it's not guaranteed. Because at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to the amount of calories that you're consuming. And if, say, whatever calories you were eating or overeating, and you were eating between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. and they're like, right, okay, I'm going to reduce down my eating window now. So I'm not going to start eating until 11 o'clock and I'm going to stop at 7 o'clock. But if you just squish those same amount of food into that time, you're still consuming those calories at the end of the day, you know? So, you know, it can be a really helpful method. And some people might find that, you know, like if they wake up in the morning and they're just not a breakfast eater, they might find that they like a coffee or two. They feel quite maybe nauseous in the morning and breakfast just isn't their thing, you know, then do something like that, you know. Eat your first meal of the day at 11 o'clock. What is most important at that point then is what are you eating in that meal? You know, you can't be calling into Greg's and getting whatever you want there. You know, it needs to be a healthy, balanced meal. And another thing that can be really helpful as well is that, you know, if you did have this like cut off of I don't eat after 7 o'clock. I've had a great dinner. I've enjoyed it. I've had a little curly whirly or whatever it is you want after, if you want to have a little treat, but I stop eating after 7 o'clock. There's no magic in that non-eating after that certain time. But what you'll find is that you stop eating. That's what it boils down to. So if like normally after 7 o'clock, you're like, and then what tends to happen then is, you know, my partner will go, shall I get the munchies? Do you want a glass of red? And I go, yeah, go on then. And, you know, there's another 800 calories that are being consumed then watching TV, you know, and you've just cut those calories out. That's what it's boiling down to. So it's helping you to manage, you know, your consumption. And that
restricting the time.
Absolutely. So it'll only work if you are in then, you know, if it was for wanting to lose weight, you know, being in that calorie deficit, which, you know, maybe many have heard is the term. If that's what helps you to be in it, then absolutely great. And, you know, that's what can get you the results then. There's many methods that you can follow. And again, it's all going to be down to personal preference. Your food choices are going to be down to personal preferences. When you eat, you know, who you eat with, all of these types of things, they're all going to be lifestyle kind of determined, I suppose. And down to what you like as well.
Cool, interesting. So, tell us about the books you've brought along.
Yes. So I brought these because there'll be lots of like common questions like, how do I get back on track? What supplements should I be taking? And very often people will ask me about books to read, to recommend. So I thought I'd bring some of my most favorite ones. One is literally falling apart. So I'll get that now. So am I able to reach over?
Go for it.
Show them. So in no particular order, these are literally how I pulled them out of my bag. So this one by James Clear, Atomic Habits. Absolutely love this one. I think that everybody should read this book. And again, it's about, you know, well, basically tiny changes, remarkable results. How those small little changes done consistently over time is what can really transform your life. And then how you can look at things like habit stacking, how you can be adding things on top of other things that you're doing to make it easier to do. It's such a great book. I recommend this to all of my clients. And it's very easy to read as well. And, you know, it's a good way of building habits. But the thing is, you know, like with all of these things, we've got to keep on working at them. We've got to keep on putting the effort in. And as easy as it is to like create a habit, it can easily kind of disappear as well, you know, if we don't keep on, you know, putting effort into it. Absolutely love this one as well. Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish. So this again is all about, and they're really like simple chapters. So like to kind of read out by here, like what I was loving in the beginning is like self-control, self-knowledge, self-confidence, self-awareness, you know, self-accountability, all of the things that we are responsible for. You know, it is, you know, how we can be building strength, but mentally, you know, and how we think and pause and really kind of manage ourselves and pay attention to how we are showing up, you know. And again, what I love about these books is that, you know, they're so easy to read. So this one now, James Clear, that that I've shown you. So he has said it's indispensable. James Clear on this book. Ryan Holiday has also said it's a masterwork. And the next book that I pick up is a Ryan Holiday one. So you can see how they're all quite similar in theme, but very different. I love this one, The Daily Stoic. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It is falling apart. Look at it. And I need to buy another one. You can get like this gold rimmed one because I feel like everybody needs this, but you could read it for the rest of your life. But basically what it is, it's some Stoic messages, but it's a day to a page. So like today, what's the date today as we do this? It's the 7th?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read this now.
Go on, yeah.
October the 7th, a selfish reason to be good. The person who does wrong to themselves. The unjust person is unjust to themselves, making themselves evil. So that's Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. So basically how Ryan has translated this then is, the next time you do something wrong, try to remember how it made you feel. Rarely does one say, I felt great. There is a reason there's often vomit at crime scenes instead of the catharsis the person thought they'd feel when they let themselves get out of control, or when they got their revenge, they ended up making themselves sick. We feel a version of this when we lie, when we cheat, when we screw someone over. So in that split second before your ill-gotten gains kick in, ask, how do I feel about myself? Is that moment when fear rises in your throat because you suspect you may get caught really worth it? Self-awareness and wrongdoing rarely go together. If you need a selfish reason to not do wrong, put yourself in touch with these feelings. They're a powerful disincentive.
Interesting. Yeah, that's all. These books sound fantastic.
They're amazing. So this one now, and this is a bit more of a personal one with me, and I think that a lot of people should read this book, whether they have experience of it themselves or whether they know somebody that might be going through it. It's basically called It's Not You, and it's how to identify and heal from narcissistic people by Dr. Ramani Devasula. I butchered that then. I read this and I ended up in therapy. I got a therapist because it was so hard hitting for me.
Really?
Because it basically was like, it was a time frame of a relationship that I had got out of, and it gave me so much, it opened my eyes to what I'd been dealing with, and then gave me the tools to how I could protect myself and I could move on. And I think that's what the important thing is, because when you're dealing with people like that, it is crazy making. It's crazy making stuff. And as the book says, it's not you, and you can protect yourself and you can look after yourself and you can thrive and move on from it. So I would definitely recommend that.
Cool.
And then these two. So this first one, Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? By Dr. Julie Smith. I absolutely love her. She is so lovely. But it's a book about, like it says, everyday tools for life's ups and downs. So, if you're dealing with anxiety, when you're feeling stressed out or anything like that, like this is one of those books that is so good to kind of come back to and time and time again, like what making stress work for you, in all certain things that are going on in life. Like they've got these lovely little values tasks you can do. It's a lovely, like, workable book. And she's got a second one that has come out as well. It's called Open When. I haven't read that yet. But I did go to the Hayes Festival earlier on in the year, and she was speaking there. She's amazing, she is. So yeah, I really love that one. And then my last one, Mindset is Your Superpower, 77 Ways to Achieve Excellence in Your Habits, Routine and Life. And again, with this one, they're all very simple chapters. You could read one chapter, put the book down, get on with your day, and then come back tomorrow, have a cup of coffee and get through another chapter. But, they've got these lovely, inspiring little quotes. I very often take a photograph of them and put them on my stories as a little message of the day. But again, it's simple. And that's what I love about, things being smart, being simple, not overcomplicating things, and feeling like you can, really feel in control of yourself, your habits, your choices, whether you get up and do your workout or not, whether you make that great meal or not, whether, you respond in a good way that's serving you or not, and I think that with such a busy life that every single one of us has got, and, we're all dealing with things, and it can feel so heavy and so hard, can't it? We've always got things going on, but that it is manageable for us to look after ourselves. And in the workouts I do with the girls in the morning, so we have them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Lies. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We have a day off on Wednesday.
Yeah.
They're only 20 minutes long, so they start at 6:30. We're done by 7 at home. And at the end, I'll very often say, well done, girls. How they feel from in that half an hour from before they did it to, after that, they literally upgraded everything. They up-leveled their energy, their productivity, the tone for the day, but they fitted their own oxygen mask first. They put themselves first just for that time there, and if we can have these small, manageable, smart habits and serve ourselves first in the day, it's going to help us to feel like, I can do this. And it's not going to be perfect, but I can be consistent and I am resilient and I can keep on going. And that's how you get the results then. It's these small little steps create massive, massive change.
Yeah. It's amazing all the different aspects that go into this for your clients. Because I wouldn't have thought this. So you've got the whole psychology thing. You've amassed a load of information and knowledge, and it's all of this is going to work and improving people's lives. I think it's amazing.
It is. It's so, so, so amazing. I am constantly inspired by my clients, because it is so hard for them all, whether, they're looking after children, whether they're looking after parents, whether they're dealing with illnesses, all sorts of things that are going on in people's lives. And it is so hard, so hard. And they get up and they put so much effort in, and it's incredible. And, even the smallest things, like I was chatting with one of the girls the other day, and, she was like, oh, I'm not doing good at all, and she was forgetting about all of the great things that she'd already done in the program. But just because she wasn't doing her workout on a Monday and a Tuesday, she was just telling herself she was failing and she wasn't doing very well, whereas the reality was, it was impossible for her to do the workouts on a Monday and Tuesday because she had to be out of the door by 6:00 in the morning to go to work and wasn't coming home until late. So then when we just have a common sense conversation about what's realistic that you can fit into your day. Could we do the workouts on Thursday? Yeah, absolutely I can. My little boy might be jumping all over me. I'm like, fine, great. Like Danny went the whole of his life, even when he was inside me, it's like mama's shouting, there's this house music going on, and she's squatting or doing press ups or sprinting. And, he's been in all of my workouts. He's been in my kettlebell, my dumbbell. He's been in the travel cot whilst I'm doing some stuff. He's climbing all over me. I'm doing pull-ups with him, and all of this stuff. And they love it. It's so amazing for kids to be.
What a great influence for them as well, isn't it? Their mum's always doing something, taking care of their body.
100%. Look how strong mama is. And that's exactly as it should be, Like one of the girls this morning, Victoria, I hope she listens to this. I was watching her do something and I could see her kid with a sword going like that to her, stabbing her type thing, And it's brilliant. It's not the perfect workout, but she's there doing it,
That's right,
And, my other client, from that conversation, I said, look, can you just do 20 minutes on Thursday morning? Yeah. And can you do 20 minutes Friday morning? Yeah. I said, do me a favor, just text me and let me know you've done it. She was on top of the world after she'd done that, 7:05 on a Thursday morning. She's like, I can't believe I did it. And my little boy, he climbed all over me. It was part of the fun. And then he soon got bored, so he could just crack on with it, like Danny now, he's 8 years old.
Yeah.
So he doesn't kind of come down the stairs halfway through so much now and join in. But if it was quiet downstairs, he'd probably wake up earlier thinking, why is it so quiet? Where's mama? Why isn't she shouting downstairs? But he's literally up there and I'm like, come on, girls, But it's brilliant, it like I said, it sets the tone from the start of the day. And these small things that all of the girls are doing, it's incredible because they're dealing with all sorts of things all of the time, and but they still show up, and it's amazing.
So what does the kind of routine or package that you offer to the clients look like exactly? What what do you implement?
So the workout side of things, we've got Zoom workouts, so they see me and I see them. So it's not like a live on Facebook,
cool.
or Instagram or anything. So this morning, as an example, now we know it was Tuesday's the upper body and core day. So I do a little demo for them so they can all see. I normally go through the first round, and then I'm up against the screen and I can see them all. And in fact, I said to them yesterday, it's amazing because some of them are like iPhone, or they like 46757. I'm like, yep, that's Caroline in her living room. Like, I know these girls. And, so I see them and, they know, oh my gosh, Tara's working on, looking on the screen. So, they've got to make sure they're doing their full press up. So they're lifting the heavier kettlebell. And, it's all about lifting weights. It is so important for all of us to lift weights and go heavy. And, if any women are thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to look like a man, you're not going to.
No.
I lift pretty heavy, but I'm little. But I've had my fair troll or two of mine. They've gone, stop lifting heavy. You don't want to look like a bloke. And I'm like, oh my.
Muscle is medicine, isn't it?
It is. The more we've got on our body, the younger we're going to feel, less pain we're going to have. We are going to feel so youthful. Like, it's the most important thing to be building on our body. The more muscle that we've got, the better. And
absolutely,
it's going to help us to be strong. I was looking at a video on at the weekend of this lady, and she's like on a bike, and she's like 71. I'm like, oh my God, she's like an absolute unit on a machine. She's like so inspiring, and I'm going to be like that until I'm in my hundreds. Definitely. But so we're lifting weights in those workouts, and then I encourage the girls to get their steps up, get moving, just to be staying active. It's so encouraging to be sat down, isn't it? With work and kids on your laps or laptops, they're working on, and traveling and commuting or whatever. So that's why I get a tracker. I've got a simple tracker. It's not even like smartwatch. I had one before, and too distracting. I just want to be able to see the time, and see my steps, and so getting activity in, but also to do whatever you like as well. Like, if you want to go swimming, if you want to do Pilates, we've got Pilates in the program. If you want to do yoga, if you want to do boxing, if you want to do cycling, like something you enjoy, get out there and do it. That's the most important thing, But definitely get lifting weights. So we have those workouts 4 times a week. And I'm going to address in a minute, right? I'm obsessed with 11:11, the time, and like looking at my watch now, it's 11:11. I've even got it tattooed on me. I don't know what side it is. Is it that? So I had to say that then. So I always think like positively then, and just have a bit of gratitude. So I'm thinking of everyone now in a positive way. Anyway, so that's the movement side of things. And then with the nutrition, so I do 5 sessions with the girls a week. So on a Sunday, we have like a check-in one, a prep and reflect one. So we prep for the week ahead. The girls have got a weekly check-in form that they send to me. And, they just reflect on their habits from the last week, what they learned, how they feel, what they need to put some effort into this week. And then it's just getting them ready for the week ahead. On Monday, I do a big Q&A session, and I do turn that into a podcast then to share with everyone. And it's what the girls want to listen to then. It's like, how do you get back on track? What supplements should I be having in autumn? How can I drink more water? Whatever it is that the girls are struggling with. A lot of the time they'll be asking things like, how do I get back on track? I haven't lost anything on the scales this week. What have I done wrong? That's a big one. And anything really. Very often about like managing emotions as well. Like, kids doing my head in last night. How do I stop myself eating the ice cream and things like that? Tuesday, we have Topic Tuesday, so it could be anything. In fact, last week was about Monjaro and the weight loss jabs. Thursday, then we do a hot seat, so the girls get the chance to chat with me one-to-one. So they get the one-to-one opportunity every week. And then on a Friday, then we do a lunchtime one, because that's where people start to change then. It's like the routine and structure and focus of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning maybe, and then Friday afternoon we start to change the way we think about things. Oh, I'm tired. I need to de-stress. It's the weekend. Do I get that bottle of wine or the pizza on the way home? The horns start coming out, and then the weekend comes and takes over then. So very often I'm there, trying to encourage them to, have that self-awareness, to pay attention to their behaviors, to compromise, never to miss out, but to look at, how they can be creating weekend behaviors of a lifetime as well. And sometimes that might mean it's the most, active, great eating one, and you catch up on your sleep. And other times it might be you've been doing cartwheels 3 o'clock in the morning after a bottomless brunch on a hen weekend or something like that, But it's like, go and live your best life, girls. I hope you had your high heels on and had the best time, and that you just get back to it. The most important thing is how you respond to everything that's going on, and you work on health-seeking behaviors as much as possible, and they need to become your identity as well. It's like I definitely identify as somebody that is, an active person and eats good food, but also that I can sit in front of a tin of celebrations and eat too many bounties and leave the Maltesers for everyone else because they're disgusting. And whatever, it's balance. That's what we need, isn't it?
Balance. Yeah, that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's the difficulty thing, isn't it?
It is.
Balance.
It is.
That's what it's all about.
Because all or nothing thinking can help you to feel like you're in control, isn't it? Because if it's black and white and rule-based and like intermittent fasting, I don't eat before 11 and I don't eat after 7, and then no chocolate, no crisps, no wine, no nothing. I am going to be clean and I am strict, all of these types of things. And yes, in theory, it's going to get you some results. But after a while, if you're thinking, I am sacrificing here, I am missing out here, and I'm not loving my life, then soon you're going to think, I can't cope with this. Like, what's the point? I want to go and live my life, It's Christmas is coming and, all of these things. So it's like, how do you manage the gray area then, isn't it, of the balance? And again, it's all going to come down to the story that you tell yourself. It's psychology. If you tell yourself, I can't open a bar of chocolate and not eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're going to make sure that's true. Whereas with conviction, if you say, yeah, quite easily, I can snap a bit off and I'll put the rest back.
Yeah.
It's like somebody that, is I must have read this in a book, as a smoker. If you're trying to give up smoking, someone says, coming up for a fag, and they, the response of, trying to give up, I don't know. You can see there's a little bit of negotiation there. Whereas if your response is, I don't smoke, that's conviction. That's done, you're not going up for a cigarette type thing. So you've got to have conviction in your thoughts as well. But to be able to say that, you've got to believe in yourself, and you've got to have some experience and evidence of that, of new. So you've got to build that up then. So you need to have some behavioral exposure maybe, or even look at anything as, this is another opportunity for me to pay attention, for me to maybe make a different decision this time, and then reflect on how I feel. Did I really miss out? Did I feel great after that decision? Because like it might be like, I really want a pizza tonight. So the first slice, like, that was amazing. Second slice, still amazing. Third slice, the amazingness starts to kind of wear off until you get like slice 6. You're like, why am I still eating this? And then you hating the pizza, because there's a point of like diminishing returns, isn't it? All or nothing is like, how do I manage my portions? How do I manage all of these things, And again, it's like, can you be the person that has 3 slices and then you move on, you leave the rest for breakfast next morning or whatever you do, But grey area is tougher, and that's why it's important to make sure you've got support.
Yeah. It sounds so like fully comprehensive, No wonder you're having loads of results,
Yeah.
And back what you were saying about strength training and women's strength training. It's I think one of the biggest longevity markers, I'm not sure if it's number 1 or number 2, is leg strength, which I thought it would be heart, lung, but it's leg strength. I heard in a podcast recently.
I haven't heard that, and it might very well be true, but I think if you can do like any body weight kind of challenge, to be able to do a press up, or even to be able to just get up off the floor without putting your hands down. I saw someone doing that before, and I was like, oh my God, can I do that? It's like, yeah, thankfully. But yeah, absolutely. And, like I say to my clients all the time, it is even more important to do it as you get older.
100%.
Because we can have these oh, what's the point in doing this now because it's Thursday? What's the point in doing this now? It's October. What's the point in doing this now? I'm 46. Like, it's even more important to do these things.
It's like you get sarcopenia, where the muscle degeneration at about 35.
So what we will find is, so we will get these hormonal declines. So, and this is where men and women will notice this. Obviously perimenopausal, we can talk about that now. Women will experience big changes from the age of 35, and our skin changes, everything does. And if we don't use it, we are going to lose it. So we've got to tell the brain, we need this muscle in our body, and that message is by lifting the weights. When we get to 60, then what we run the risk of is that when we lose that muscle, we will not replace it. And that then is a recipe for disaster, because you've got increased risk then of osteoporosis, increased risk of slips, trips and falls, and 100%. Fractures, pelvis, all of these types of things. That's why you're weaker and you are more frail then. So as we get older, we can't get away with things like when we were in our 20s, It is even more important to be lifting weights, and to be lifting heavy. It's going to boost your hormones. It's going to help you to feel so much better physiologically and psychologically. You're going to feel youthful. I genuinely don't feel any different than when I was in my 20s. Maybe even better, because when I was younger, I used to do a lot of running, which didn't suit me, and I didn't like it anyway. So I would always have, plantar fasciitis, bad knees, bad back. I haven't got any of those things now, I'm not in any pain with things. I know how to manage some certain things, like my back could go if I wasn't careful. But again, you've got to be careful with your exercise anyway, isn't it? And get the maintenance that you need as well with physios or sports therapists or whatever you need then as well. It's important.
Yeah, interesting. And going back to what you said about Manjaro, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's great. It can be really helpful. Pros and cons, and I support it in the right ways. And there's the ways that I don't support, because it's going to be detrimental to people's health. So, it's really important for us to understand that it is different for everybody to make changes, and it can seem maybe so simplistic for me to say, guys, make sure you got your lean protein and your fiber and all of these kinds of stuff, but none of us will know, like, I don't know what your hunger feels like compared to mine, or your drive to eat compared to mine, or how does food taste to you compared to me? What emotional things are we dealing with, and what has been our usual way of, self-soothing in the past? What experiences have we had as we've been growing up, with as children, food that we were given, and what are our hormones like? Are we struggling with lots of different things? And so it's not even amongst people on how easy it is or not to make changes with their health. And I think that having this, which does work, is going to be life-changing and life-saving for some people, but what is really important, I mean, I've got clients that are on it, and I'm so proud of them. They would have had additional struggles, and they judge themselves for having these injections because they think, I shouldn't be doing this, it's cheating. It's not cheating. It's not cheating at all. I've got clients, and I know people as well, that have had, really big surgeries of things like, gastric bypasses and that, and people don't go into these operations lightly. There's a lot of thought that's gone into it, but it changes, and it saves lives. It saves relationships. It saves families, and it is really important. But what is really important is that you've still got to do all of the things. You've still got to lift the weights. You've still got to look after your physical health. You've still got to look after your mental health. And that doesn't change then. And yes, you can do it without the injections. Of course you can. And there's a lot of people that probably should just be doing that, like I know, like the reason why I talked about it last week, and, I get the messages all of the time. Oh my gosh, my friend is doing it now. She's lost 2 stone, and there's me, I've only lost 2 pounds, and I get it. I totally get it. But, if it's expensive for starters, so if you're looking at £200 a month for those injections, why not? If you could, why not put that £200 a month into a coach, do some one-to-one coaching to really heighten that accountability? Because then you will be doing the lifting of the weights, all of the things you need to do anyway, and you'll be working on this, you'll be building up your belief in yourself, your experiences, the evidence that you can do this because you absolutely are capable. And then you can get the momentum and you can keep on going. Whereas, if someone's thinking, oh, I'm going to take these injections for a little while, they're going to be petrified of coming off. Because then everything's going to go back to normal. And then it's like, oh my God, what do I do now? I can't afford this £200 a month. Christmas is coming. I didn't think of that. So it's all of these types of things. And, there's going to be a load of people out there that are just chuffed now that they're not a size 18 anymore and they're in a 14 or a 12 or something. And, it's coming at a cost because they're losing muscle as well. I do a program. This is from Martin as well. It's evidence-based too. It's an aggressive diet plan. The results on it are insane. They're incredible. One of the girls with me right now, she's like, I've lost a stone in 3 weeks, and that would have taken me a year. But as we do this, it is done with healthy foundations in the first place. She's been a client with me for a long time, and there's an exit strategy on it as well. There's the support, and there's the evidence-based coaching around positive weight regain afterwards and how she's going to maintain this. But, something like that would be so much better for somebody. Somebody could invest in me and still have change and make that change, financial change, and make that change in their lives. But those that are doing the injections and they aren't lifting weights, they aren't looking after their physical health, they aren't eating good nutritional food, getting their fiber in, looking after themselves, that is what I don't agree with then.
Yeah, I did a podcast with a guy who's lost 11 stone. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I saw the highlight reels you've done.
He lost 11 stone, and he said the only kind of symptom, or what would you call drawback of it, he said he had a little bit of hair loss, but I thought that can be associated with extreme weight loss anyway.
Yeah.
But apart from that, he said he's had no real side effects or anything like that, and he was huge. And he's just a new person, and it's just changed his life. And it's I can see the benefits of it, but like you said, the muscle mass and maintaining muscle mass is so crucial.
Absolutely. You've got to preserve muscle at all costs. That's like the number one priority. And like in the aggressive plan that I do, like I say to the girls, preserving muscle is the most important thing. You've got to be lifting weights. You've got to be hitting your protein, because we're here to lose body fat, not lean body mass as well. So the last thing you want to be doing is losing the muscle, But to go on to that guy as well, life transformed.
I know.
He's got his life back now, and it's going to have such an improvement on his physical health, his mental health, and maybe extreme weight loss will come with some side effects, and making sure that you get the protein in, but would that have been any different than if he'd done it, a normal way over a longer period of time? Who knows? But I'm sure he's like, I'll take that all day long. 11 stone gone. Flippin' heck.
What would you recommend in terms of protein per day for a woman and a man? What have you got?
So what I say to my clients is you weight in kilograms you get, and then anywhere between 1.2 and 2 you would multiply that by. And I tend to go in the middle with my clients. I'll say 1.5, 1.6. So you get your weight, your body weight in kilograms, multiply that by 1.5, and that'll give you your target to be aiming for with that. So that would be for men and women as well then. And it's important because it's essential for us anyway. And for the muscle protein synthesis, so they're helping you to build muscle, and also for the management of your appetite as well. So helping you with that fullness and that satiety with your food.
That's a big thing, isn't it? The protein equals satiety. What was it?
Absolute satiety. So it's going to help you with that feeling of fullness. And, regularly the girls, when they join the program say, gosh, getting that protein in has really helped me to feel less hungry. What will be important with it is that you try and spread it out throughout the day. But, some will find that they're like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten enough and I'm trying to get like 60 grams in at dinner now. And it's like, do make sure you front ended as well, so making sure you're having plenty at breakfast, like 25 grams at breakfast, a snack of about 20 grams, lunch then could be 25 to 30. Dinner can be sometimes easier, if you like having a chicken breast or salmon fillet or, a steak or something that can, really help. And we get protein from other sources as well then, like, so you've got your lean sauces, your chicken and your turkey. Red meat, you can be getting it from fish, so tuna and prawns are going to be great. Oily fish is great because even though it's going to be higher in fat, like you've mentioned, it's important for us. Brilliant for the omega-3s, for our brain health. And then, your low-fat cottage cheese, skyr yogurts, eggs, and then the vegetarian and vegan seitan. I've only recently learned about that one as well. I've never cooked with it, but I've actually got some in my fridge because I did a reel on high-protein sources, which is great for people that follow a vegan lifestyle or a vegetarian lifestyle. Tofu as well. And then you can also get it from, carbohydrate green sources like your lentils. So yeah, it is important to get it and spread it across all meals. And also, like, don't freak out if you end up in Costa one day and you're like, oh my gosh, I had a muffin and, there was no protein in it. It's like, don't worry, it's, again, now and again doing these things, these things are going to happen. It's balance. If you drop it down now and again. We don't want to be too, like, strict with anything, that flexibility is what's going to be critical. But yeah, protein, and also to make sure you get high volume, high fiber foods as well. Fiber is really important, aiming for 25 to 30 grams per day. And, making sure that you get them through sources like raspberries, one of the highest fiber fruits that you can be getting it in, carrots and broccoli with your vegetables then. So it is important to get them in, as long as you tolerate them well as well. We say foods are healthy, but some people that are living with things like IBS and are like, oh my gosh, I can't eat, have high fiber. It's obviously going to be specific then that they have to follow a slightly different kind of meal plan then.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm very kind of like obsessed with kids' nutrition for my boys.
Yeah.
So like I won't really give them cereal or anything like that, but what I'll do is I'll make a smoothie and I'll either sweeten it with honey or maple syrup.
Lush.
And so it will have loads of like, I get my stuff from Pact. Have you heard of Pact? They do like organic frozen fruits.
Lovely.
A huge range of different stuff they've got. And then I'll just put a load of mixed berries, acai things, or I'll do them a tropical one with so just milk and that, and then the honey or the maple syrup, and they'll have that for breakfast. Amazing. Sometimes I'll put oats in there for a bit of carbohydrate.
Amazing.
But I just think it's so good for them instead of cereals.
Absolutely.
So shit.
Yeah.
It's just like having a dessert really for breakfast, isn't it?
It is. I mean, like Cocoa Pops is not the best start of the day, is it? And I know they might be fortified with vitamins and minerals and that, but I've been the same with Danny as well. And, he's amazing with his food from the start. The bananas and the avocados are coming out and he still has those now. And dinner last night, one of the things that I say a lot about, like, I'm single parenting, so it is mental busy, like anybody will experience, and a Monday for me with work is like bang, 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 pick him up from school, straight to swimming, get home, launch him in the shower, back down, homeworks, reading, maths, and all of that stuff. And then food for Danny last night was one of those 5-minute frozen jack potatoes in the microwave. Frozen broccoli. Always get frozen broccoli. Like, why would I cut it up myself? Somebody else has done it for me. So that goes in the air fryer because I love how it crisps there. And then a tin of sardines in a tomato sauce. And that's literally fast food. And it was done in 5 minutes. And the sardines are like 55 pence per tin, and he loves them. He and the bones and everything are all in there. It's such I love.
So nutritious, aren't they?
Oh my gosh, I love seeing him eating like that. And I know not all kids do it, and everyone's different. But I do feel so grateful that he will. It has been the way things have been from the start, and how I want things to always be with him as well. But how we can make it convenient for us, and really, really fast. And like you say, getting those deliveries for you. Amazing. It's quick and easy. The things that I do for Danny as well, batch cooking things, like pastas and that, quick and easy food. That's what we need because again, like I said, life is busy. We're going to end up with a fish finger sandwich or something like that sometimes. But if oh my gosh, I can always have broccoli and potatoes in the freezer. I could always have a tin of sardines in the cupboard or tuna or whatever it is that you like. I'm sure some people who listen to this will go, sardines, Tara, come on. I know not everybody's going to like that. But, there's other things that we can be doing to make life really easy and quick for ourselves.
Did you post a lunchbox you made
my grazing boxes.
Yeah, that's brilliant. You made it for your little one, didn't
So I
you?
made that for Danny. I did, and I did make that as well for a trip that I went on. And in fact, I'm going to be making some this weekend as well. I love it. I love being creative, and I know my parents probably told me, "Don't play with your food, Tara." And now they're like, "Tara, can you come over and make one of those grazing boards for us?" I'm like, "Yeah, because I can." I love it.
They're great. They are. They really
it is. It's good, and I do like, when I get a little bit of time, getting a bit creative with stuff. It's just me. It's how I like to relax and stress as well, de-stress as well. Last year was a tough year for me. And I know you and I were chatting, I was sharing it just now, and it can be quite hard because, I'm online coach and I'm there to show up, and like I want everyone to look at my reels and think, oh, this girl makes me feel good, but there's got to be a little bit of real life in there because I'm not without my troubles or anything. And last year, after reading that book and having a bit of therapy, I kind of had to look after myself and build myself back up. In fact, I'd like to talk about my one word themes that I have. And so last year was really tough, and I really, like, my name was Tara Hammett at one point, like with my friends, because I was like, not Tara Hammett going out anymore. I'm like staying in the house, looking after myself. One of the things that I loved doing was just being really creative with my relaxation, was, doing things like that with food, and doing a bit of texture art and that. It helped me to, like, my brain went quiet, and it helped me to escape like the thoughts that had been hijacking my brain, with everything that was going on in my life. But yeah, I like getting creative with things like that. That's my way of de-stressing and relaxing. It is. Yeah. But so the word thing. So there's do you know and follow Mo Godat? I
don't think so.
Well, he's amazing. So he's like this. Used to be this genius guy at Google, like a physicist or something like that. And he tells his story, but he wanted to make 1 million people happy. He lost his son. And he does this like one word theme.
I have seen him in a podcast.
He's amazing, isn't he? He talks a lot about AI now as well. And when so in 2023, like, and I love reframes. Like, how can I reframe this thing that's going on? And I think it's so important for us all to use as a bit of a life skill. Like, how can I reframe the story that I've told myself about why I just ate that ice cream? How can I reframe anything? And 2023 was my year that I had to reframe how my future was going to look, because my family had changed, and I needed to get my head around how is my future going to look. So reframing my whole life is what 2023 was all about, and that was the theme of my year. And then 2024, then my word was growth. And I remember at the beginning of the year, Stephen Bartlett shared, if life is challenging, if you've asked for growth, don't be surprised when life challenges you. And I was like, oh my God, right? That is what's going on right now. I am at my most challenged right now. It was the hardest. And like I said, I had therapy, Jo Williams. I'm going to mention her. She's amazing. I went to Kelly Morgan, incredible, from Soulflow Yoga. She helped me, I got as much help as I could to take on my challenges so that I could learn to grow again. Because, you go through these moments of weakness to you. And, I still had to show up. I just wanted to shut myself away from everything. But, you're resilient. You get through these things, don't you? And then I thought, right, 2025, what's it going to be? Rebuild. So that has been the theme of my year. And I remember at the beginning in January as well, just putting a post saying, this is my one word of the year. And I don't know how this is going to happen, but this is going to be the year that I rebuild myself, rebuild my home, rebuild my business, obviously everything with Danny. And my life has like been so rebuilt this year. I love it. And there are always better days ahead, and and I'm so grateful for the lessons of this year and how everything is rebuilt. So now I'm in this place of thinking, right, what's my word going to be now? Because I feel like it's going to be nurture what I've rebuilt this year so it can flourish. So it's going to be something like that. So I think that would be something that would be quite nice for people to think about for themselves as a bit of a theme in their lives.
It's a similar kind of situation for me, like we were saying earlier, and that's what I'm kind of doing, rebuilding, and but like you said, it's the hard times that produce that motivate and discipline, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so grateful for the lessons that I've been taught, the hardest lessons, but I am so grateful for them all because it will make me, and it has made me, a better person.
Yeah.
I know that I'm going to be a better mother, a better partner, a better businesswoman, everything, it's, life-changing experiences, but you can't be a victim.
No.
We learn from these things, and we know how strong we've been to kind of get through things and come out the other side. And yeah, absolutely, we can be shaped by them, but to be a better person for people for certain.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Yeah. Perimenopause I wanted to talk about because I know someone who's going through that, and they were telling me about the impact on just the way they obviously the way they feel, but their relationships. And because it sounds to me, obviously from a bloke's perspective, something that can really affect someone's relationship, like
Absolutely.
a couple's relationship, because women seem to go through a huge change in their bodies physically and mentally.
Yeah.
So could we have a little talk about that? Because I know that that's something that you specialize in. And
absolutely. And it's something that men and women need to be educated on, because men are going to be having women in their lives, to recognize why there might be changes to the point where it might be like it's like a different person. Like I'm 46 now, and I remember years ago thinking, I don't need to worry about that until I'm about 50, 51, and then it's like night sweats, brain fog, and being a little bit snappy. It's fine. We can take that type thing for flushes as well. It'll probably come when I'm 50, 51. But so I was 44, and I was like, what is wrong with me? And I know, again, I was going through life stresses, so it's probably a contributing factor. But I could fall asleep eating my breakfast. I was like, I am so fatigued. I couldn't get up in the morning, and nothing had particularly changed with my habits. I was still living my lifestyle like I always have, but I could not shake this tiredness and fatigue. I could have fallen asleep at any point. And in addition to that, like throughout the day, I was like thinking, oh, I'm going to be dizzy now. Oh, no, I'm not. And then it would go, and then I'd be, I was going to be dizzy again. But then I've realised it's perimenopausal symptoms. I've done a menopause series on my podcast, and I've hooked up with Dr. Sandra Lane, who is incredible. She's a NHS GP and incredible with menopause. Just learned everything on that, and done my course on it as well with nutrition and that. So basically, as our hormones completely change and decline, that have always been there for us the whole of our lives, we are going to be feeling those symptoms. And I'm sure the last time there was something like about 72 different symptoms. It's far more than hot flushes. I'm a freezer, I am, so I'm not getting any of those. And the night sweats, but it can be frozen shoulder, it can be UTIs. There's so many different symptoms that people are living with, women are living with, and it'll have an effect on the woman, of course, but then on relationships, on mood, on emotions, on absolutely everything. And the important thing for us to consider with it is not to think in our mind that, oh, here we go, we're doomed, because there's so much that we are in control of. And like I've already said, and I say all of the time, it is even more important to be paying attention to what is in our control. So the things that are in our control then is lifting weights. Lift weights, build muscle, so important. And then the walk-in is brilliant. It's free for starters. You can get out there. You can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it for an hour and 5 minutes. Get fresh air. It's de-stressing. We can become a lot more stress sensitive when we perimenopausal, menopausal. So it'll help us to manage our emotions more. It can, our appetite will change. So the way that we kind of eat and choose food will be different. And the biggest thing as well then is going to be like our mood, feeling like we don't feel like ourselves. themselves, all of these things. If you're not sleeping and you're tired, you're going to feel more snappy. It's going to be harder to get up and do your workout because you're so fatigued. There's all of these things that are coming at you. But again, it's not a reason to think I can't do any of these things and I can't feel my best again. So for me, when I knew that I was already doing the things that I am in control of, I knew then, and it was, it is a personal decision if a woman wants to have HRT, but I knew that it was for me because I didn't want to have to deal with it. I didn't want to be like, I'm going to plow on. I wanted to feel my absolute best. So from chatting with Dr. Sandar and my GP as well then. I wanted to go down the route, so I'll mention now my HRT, so is the Marina coil and a very low dose estrogen. So I had the Marina coil and within about 4-6 weeks, I was feeling exactly like I've always felt then. Really? That's what helped me. The dizziness went away, the fatigue went away, and I feel just like, I always had then. So that worked so well for me. The estrogen, I was taking it, but actually I'm not now. I don't think I needed it. So I'm not taking that, but I know that it is something that I would, further down the line. But, some girls do need it and have it. Doses are going to be different. Testosterone as well, some will need that. They might feel that they've got like heightened anxiety or low libido, all of these things that are important to, address for a person, but also for a relationship. And to go on to the appetite thing that we were chatting about earlier, how everything feels different. Like for everybody with their need to eat, etc. When I first went onto the Marina coil, I remember a couple of weeks after, I was constantly starving and I was like, what is wrong with me? I can't stop eating, and I was like, I've just had my breakfast, I'm going back for some more toast, and oh my gosh, is it lunchtime yet? And my appetite was right up there. And I remember it going on for about 2 weeks, and I was like, is it because I'm in the house and I need to get out to the house? And I remember getting in the car this one day, I was coming down to like a sauna company thing that was down here, and I was in the car and I was like, no, I'm starving still, so it wasn't because I wasn't distracted. The changes in hormones had increased my appetite, and I was like, I need to put into practice what I encourage my clients to do here because I've never felt so hungry in my life. So somebody might be living with this like all of the time. So how can I compare, my hunger with theirs? So again, to go into the, injection thing and what we were mentioning there, everybody is different. And I was sharing this with the girls as well and saying, girls, I'm starving. So this is what I'm going to do, it'd be educational for them as well. See, oh gosh, Tara's going through this. What's she going to do, So I remember doubling up on everything, like more tomatoes, more cucumbers, more beetroots. I'm going to have like monster salads with all of my meals and everything. I ordered all this food in and I came back down there, my appetite is, so I'm like, I got beetroot everywhere, But anyway, so, that there will be all of these changes that a woman is going to experience. But I think that we've got to look at it as something that is inevitable, but suffering isn't. Suffering is optional. So we can take control of the things that are in our control, lift the weights, get walking, do things that are fun, talk, catch up with your friends, look at your environment. How are you creating an environment that is so supportive of you feeling, physically and mentally well? Do you need a therapist or a counselor? Do you need to have conversations with your partner, with your friends, whatever it is that you need to be, parts of communities, and know that you're not on your own. There's so many people out there that are going through things like, in my program, we've got WhatsApp groups for, like, we've got a 6-week plan, and then the girls kind of graduate then and they continue with a life transformer plan. And in there, it's so interesting. They all share, oh my gosh, this happened today. I had the grandkids for this, or I worked 13 hours and I'm doubling back on this, and all of these things that are going on in people's lives. It's brilliant to see them sharing their experiences. And you're like, oh gosh, it's not just me. It's quite comforting, to, not that you ever want to see someone struggling, but it's comforting to know we're not the only ones. You see all of these, you'll see on my page, look at Deb's transformed, Janet's transformed, Sarah's transformed. It's like, oh my gosh, it's all right for them, but, it's not for me. And it's like, yeah, but actually this one's got a health complaint, living with diabetes from the whole of her life. This one's got MS, this one has lost, like 8 stone, and, bit of metabolic adaptation is going to be a bit tougher for her to maintain it now. So it's never easy for anybody, so. And again, when perimenopause comes, it's another layer on top of the challenges, so it is hard. And I think, like you said, men also need to be, educated and understanding on this.
Yeah, because my friend, she's 50, close friend, has just recently told me about this, and she says she goes into a supermarket and she can't think.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I said, blokes need to know about this.
100%.
I had no idea
Yeah.
that it was such a significant mental change, depending on the person, or I said, well, I'm going to try and talk about this on the podcast because awareness is key here for certainly men and women, who are going to be going through it.
Yeah.
Because the change, like I said, so significant.
Absolutely. You can literally forget names of people. Like Dr. Sandar on my podcast, she said that when she recognized she was going through it, that she was working in her practice and people would come into her door and she'd be thinking, who the hell is this? And she would only recognize if they had a uniform on or not. That it's like, oh, it's a patient, because she all of a sudden everything would be gone. I've got clients that, in their work, they've got to get up and they've got to give presentations or something. And it's like, they can't stand there. They're like, what am I supposed to be talking about? It's crazy.
Brain fog.
Absolutely it is. I mean, like, some of my PT clients, I've still got a handful. I don't take any more on now, but they've always been the same age as me. So like when we were in our late 20s, we're all like acting like that, in our 30s. And now you can see we're all like, oh my gosh, like, I forgot about this and I forgot about that. And have you had Botox? Like you can see all of our conversations now are like, you could tell we're 40 somethings with our conversations. And, these perimenopause conversations that we're having, we're like, I haven't got a clue. It's like, what the hell did you just say then? Like the words are mumble jumbled and everything. It's like, I know what you mean, so we're all on the same hymn sheet sometimes. But yeah, it is, it's, they're crazy, and it's, really, we're clever, intelligent, capable women, and then all of a sudden you're like, what am I doing here? Why did I come up the stairs?
The hormones change, and you're lost, and some women are, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad we talked about that.
Yeah. Maybe it'd be good to get Dr. Sandar on. She's incredible. I'm sure she'd love to come on the podcast because she's done a whole menopause series with me, and I've done like the nutrition on things of what we should be aiming for, which is just the same, when it comes to nutrition with perimenopause and menopause, we need that lean protein. So again, even more important, we need the carbohydrates for the energy, but the complex ones, high fiber ones, that are going to help us. Omega-3s, essential for our brain health, that we're going to get from, oily fish that we want to be eating 2 or 3 times per week. Milk, flaxseed and chia seeds, things like that are going to be really helpful.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that can really help.
Absolutely. We do need to think functionally when it comes to food as well, as well as, how good does this taste and how am I managing my calories for my diet or whatever, but on a functional level as well, how is it supporting us? And then when it comes on to supplements as well, I was talking about this yesterday. There's not that many that I would actually recommend that everybody takes. Vitamin D, 1,000,000% everybody needs to be taking that all year round. Omega-3, if you're not eating oily fish 2 to 3 times per week. And creatine, I recommend that for everybody. I take that for what's being shown for brain health, for cognitive health, and for the physical benefits as well. I don't really label protein powder as a supplement, but that can be helpful. And I think for people to not be scared of, something being processed, that's absolutely fine. Amongst all of the great food, things being cheese is processed. So, lots of things are going to be processed. And that'll be fine. And magnesium as well is really beneficial to take. And other than that, then I think a lot of girls do benefit from lion's mane. That has been reported to be quite a good natural supplement to help with things like anxiety.
I've just been reading about lion's mane actually, and it can regenerate myelin on the axons of nerves in the brain. So essentially, from what I've read, it's regenerating brain matter.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so lion's mane is incredible.
Yeah, I saw a reel the other day of someone showing lion's mane and looked like a big cauliflower. I thought it's like quite big, isn't it? And how you could bake one. So I haven't tried it. I might have to get one and film it. And
yeah, they sell it in Sainsbury's. I bought it for me and the boys the other day, actually, and it's
what
like
did you
this.
do there?
Well, I just put a bit of garlic and butter in a pan and fried it.
Nice.
It absorbed the butter a lot, so it was a bit too buttery. So be careful with the amount of butter.
Yeah.
But nice, you know.
Yeah.
It was nice. Yeah.
Excellent. I'll have to give it a go. I haven't tried that. So seitan, I've got that in the house. So I need to discover what I'm going to do with that. And I'll get some lion's mane as well, just to give that a little go.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's important, I suppose, with supplements as well. And
And the thing is to know that it is to supplement. It's not to replace anything either, you know. Very often I'll be asked, you know, oh, Tara, what can I take for this? What can I take for that? You know, what can I take? I'm tired. Go to bed. You know, there's people staying up at night time. They're watching Married at First Sight, then Bake Off, then Traitors is going to be starting now. So that's another thing to stay up for and binge watch. And then you're still scrolling on your phone. It's like, oh, yeah, you know, it's 11:30 before I get to sleep. And then they're expecting then their alarm to go off at 5:30 to do their morning routine, fit their own oxygen masks first, do the workout, and then, you know, dominate the day. And it's like, you've got to get to bed. You've got to get your sleep. And that's something like I'm so hot on. I can be in bed by 8 o'clock in the night. I can. By the time Danny's gone up, I'm like, what is the point of me being down here? I'll up myself. And I love it. And, you know, the thing is, if you get up earlier, you've got to go to bed earlier. It's like, this is what your time zone is, isn't it? You know? But to go back on the supplements, you know, look at what you can be doing for yourself first. You know, are you getting out and getting some fresh air and oxygen and getting your circulation going and walking? You know, you don't want to be taking things all of the time as the answer. It's like, go take yourself for a walk and you know, get yourself to bed. And you know, there's again, it's the things that we're in control of, isn't it?
Yeah, sleep so important, isn't it, to try and get quality sleep?
Absolutely.
And it's difficult for some people with kids, young kids especially. You know, my boys just come in my bed all the time. And
it's like, oh my gosh, I just got to go back to sleep. Absolutely. I know. No, with Danny, with me, weekends, I'm like, you can come in with Mama on the weekend for a little treat. But because I'm like up and downstairs, then I like to, I've got a camera on him so I can watch him while I'm in the living room, then blasting it out, and he doesn't budge. But you know, if you've got children, you're going to get disturbed sleep. Again, if you're perimenopausal or menopausal, you might be waking up with night sweats. And, you know, I've got a lot of girls that are struggling with sleep, you know, and who can give all of the, you know, turn your screens off and cool room and, you know, journal, get things out of your head if you need to. We were doing a guided breathing yesterday in the session that we did, you know, how we can kind of pause and slow things down sometimes. And even with everything in place, you know, some girls are like, and then I wake up at 1 o'clock and I can't get back to sleep. You know, it's tough, and it will have an indirect effect on everything. And, you know, with menopause, you know, a lot of people ask, you know, am I going to put on weight because of the menopause? And it's like, menopause on its own, no. Indirectly, because of the symptoms, possibly, because if you've got disturbed sleep, you're going to be tired. You're going to find it harder then to, you know, get up and do your workout or anything. When you're tired, it's been shown that you can eat up to 380, 400 extra calories per day because you are physiologically hungrier. So it's a hormonal thing because, you know, your two hormones, leptin and ghrelin, they don't kind of reset. So they stay elevated. And then you're like, oh, why am I still hungry? Because they didn't kind of sink back down with a good night's sleep. So you eat more. And then when you eat more, you're not fancying like the broccoli and the sardines. You're fancying the biscuits in the, you know, the staff meeting and, you know, Sandra's special cake that she brings in or whatever it is, you know. It's all of these things that you're going to be indirectly up against then of like why you might eat more and why you might move less. And that combo then is, you know, what is guaranteed weight gain. You know, whereas you want to be eating less and moving that a little bit more, but in a sustainable, manageable way. So again, you know, you can see how these hormonal things will make a difference. But men as well, you know, you'll notice you know, a dip in you know, hormones and tiredness and fatigue and stress and all of these things, you know, will have an indirect effect on you too. So, you know, it's important that we look after ourselves and look out for each other as well.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. So what would you kind of recommend for someone to get focused and to get on track to getting fit and losing weight, what would your advice be?
Yeah. Number one is to get some support, because again, when you're doing it on your own, you've got your own head to be dealing with as well. And, you're going to need a coach and someone to help you. So I think that investment is going to be one of the best investments. And while I say that, even if someone's like thinking, oh, financially, I'm just not going to be able to do that right now, follow my profile. Because I've had girls that have messaged me and sent me before and afters, and they've never joined my program, but they've followed the advice, and they're like, look at me, and like, it's a picture. There's one girl in particular I can think of. She had like denim shorts on, and it's like, look at them before and look at them after. Thank you so much. It's from me following all of your advice. And I'm like, mission accomplished, job done. This is what I want. I want as many people to be feeling as best as they can. But the key thing is always going to be to start small. Start small and what's manageable. And I say to the girls all the time, if you need to lower the bar, lower the bar. So if, I say, right, I'll do 4 workouts a week, get 10,000 steps in, 4 meals per day, high protein, get to bed by 9. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I've got all of these things to deal with. That's just too much. It's overwhelming. And then it's going to feel too hard and people aren't going to start. So you've got to meet yourself where you're at, and you've got to start small. And then small little things, like you might even just have a tracker and it's not even charged up. Like get your tracker on and charge up. And then look at what your average steps are over a week. And if they're like 4,000, look at how you can get them up. So the recommended guideline on steps for health, and this is to prevent you from dying too soon, is 7,500 to 8,000 steps. So 10,000 is like this made up, easy, clean number, isn't it, to aim for? It's 7,500 to 8,000. The biggest benefits in health are noticed when people go from things like 2,000 to 4,000, and then from 4,000 to 7,500, and then it kind of tapers off on a health level there. So the less you're doing, it's even more important to do that little bit more, So if you're doing 2,000 to 3,000 per day, if you can aim to get to 7,500 to protect your health, then just focus on that. Focus on walking. And like my one client that I had chatted with at the beginning of this month, who couldn't do her workouts on a Monday and a Tuesday, so she couldn't do the 4 workouts. So then she was doing 0 workouts. It's like, okay, can you do 2? Yeah. Can you do them on Thursday and Friday? Yeah, I absolutely can. Okay, do that, and just do that for the whole of October. Don't even try and get a third one in. Let's just build the foundations on that. There's 2. Get the experience of it, belief in yourself, the evidence that you can do this. And we slowly build that up. And then it's these small little things that we do. So it's the small little things with your movement, and then the small little things with your meals. Like, could you just sort breakfast? Even if lunch is a bit rubbish at the moment and dinner is a bit rubbish at the moment, could you sort breakfast? And can you make sure that there's like 2 or 3 meals that have got 20 to 25 grams of protein in at breakfast time that you're going to enjoy? Like for me, I have the same thing all the time. I don't have to think about it. It reduces decision fatigue. It's done. I got plenty of other things to do. Danny, bag, water, fruit, cut up his grapes. Has he got his uniform on? Has he, had his supplement himself? Where is he? Whatever it is. So I've got all these things to be dealing with in the morning. And, check-ins coming through on my phone. I want the same breakfast. It's going to fill me. It's going to set up my day. I don't have to think about it. I can do that on autopilot. Nailed. Then you can move on to the next one. Right. What am I going to do for lunch? How can I build that up? I've sorted breakfast because I worked on that all month. Now I'm going to do this thing. Build it up, because this is a process for the rest of your life. It should never be temporary anyway, and then slowly we can start to work on, those little thoughts in our head, our behaviors, like, I tell myself I'm a terrible person if I've eaten chocolate, or I feel guilty, I do, when, I have this and I know I shouldn't, but I love it. It's like, well, let go of the guilt, because it's the reaction to that thing which is causing more problems. It's like, you're like, oh no, I've eaten like 150 calories from that, Whisper bar. Oh, may as well eat the others now. And it's like, it makes no sense. But because at that time you're so emotional about it and guilty, and you think you've ruined it, so you may as well probably ruin it. So you're going to do a royal job of it then, and it's these types of things. It's that pausing then and telling yourself, no, it's okay. And instead of then, trying to be strict and trying to be disciplined and, oh my God, you're this and you're that, show yourself some compassion, show yourself some understanding. I understand why I did this now. I'm shattered. The kids came in last night. I missed my workout, and, it wasn't the best start of the day. I get why I did that. So you can see then it's not because you're broken, but you can understand why these things are happening. What can I do better next time? And don't put yourself down. Show yourself some compassion. Encourage yourself to keep on going. You'd never do it to your best mate, so don't do it to you. Encourage yourself on your journey and be prepared for the trip ups, the failures, the falls, whatever they are. They're your best lessons. If everything went perfectly,
we wouldn't be human. We're only human.
Exactly. You'd have done it all. I wouldn't exist. My program wouldn't exist because you'd be able to do the perfect plan, So, like I say to the girls all the time, like, if we can reduce down how often these things happen, great. But we're never going to eliminate them. You're always going to have these times you're like, oh, it's a bit too much then, or, I didn't do that workout that day. But it's okay. We get up and, we go again because it needs to be a lifestyle. And that's what you need to sign up for, is signing up for, am I ready to change my life? Because if I want to change my life, I have to change me. I have to change my beliefs in myself, how I show up. And that's what you've got to do. It is a bit of an identity change, and just have that belief in yourself. But it is small things, and slow is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. I say so often, when girls are like, I stepped on scales, I was so good last week and I didn't lose anything. What's the point? I'm out here. It's like me saying, right, well, I want to go to London. The traffic's a bit heavy. Oh, screw this, I'm getting off at junction 46 again. I'm always going to be stuck in Swansea because I couldn't get there fast enough, but it's like, I'm never going to get to London then because the traffic was going too slow, and I just
it's a good analogy. It's a great analogy, that is.
It's so fucking easy, and when you look at it like that, it's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense, and I've said a couple of times before, if you had a flat tire, like you had a Kit Kat, you wouldn't get a knife then to stab the other 3 tires and go, well, I've got one stabbed one, I may as well stab them all. It's like, it makes no sense, does it? But we've got emotions and stories that we're dealing with then, so it just makes it that much harder. And I like I said, get support and know that it's going to be messy. And it is for everybody as well. But when you've got that community, you can see it is for everybody else too. Come on, girls, we can do this. Come on, guys, we can do this. We just keep on going. And there's some days, like the girls say, I got my ducks in a row, and there's another one. It's like there's no ducks. I don't know where they've gone. They're all over the place, and work is chaos. Everything's chaos. But I'll get a good night's sleep and I'll start again.
Great advice, by the way. Thank you. Cool. Should we call it a wrap?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on, Tara. I really appreciate it. Me too. Me too.
I could sit here chatting.
Yeah, I know. It's so interesting, everything you've learned, and, the information you have, what you kind of remember and you've taken in.
Yeah. I've forgotten a lot as well, perimenopause, but I think when one comes in, one goes out, doesn't it? But I've been doing this 25 years now, so you do pick up a lot along the way, and you do realize it's not just me being a personal trainer now and going, come on, follow my workout, turn up and everything. And it's not just, get protein in your meal. It is the biggest psychological journey ever, it's everything that's going on in our heads, and that's why, the behavior side of things is that I've invested a lot of my education in, the binge eating stuff that I've done, the menopause stuff, the intuitive psychology course, it was so good. And I learned a lot about myself as well, because with that coaching, it's closed eye coaching. So like you're sitting there and your eyes are closed. And I remember when I first done it, they could tell, God, look at her. I mustn't be like squinting like that, thinking, what the hell, because I'm into like spiritual things. Like the universe has got all of our backs, and the lessons that the universe has given me over the years. I'm like, I'm listening, I'm paying attention, But yeah, it was amazing. And then after a while, and clients that I've done it with as well, like we can't wait to just get there and close our eyes and just get into it, and just question ourselves and what's going on in our heads. So interesting. I think if I had it in me, I would love to do like a psychology course.
It is fascinating.
It is so fascinating, humans and behavior. And I think throughout life you come across all these different personalities, and it is interesting. And sometimes when I think about Danny, it's like, what would I like him to do now? Say, oh, tomorrow, baby, me and you are going to do the same thing, and you can do the same as mama. And he's like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I'd love him to do psychology. Not only because I think that it would be amazing for him, and how he could be educated. I mean, obviously psychologists and counselors, they are humans as well, but I think that would be like the way to go. But now we've got AI as well, so we can be like asking ChatGPT, like, oh my god, I got this issue, what's the matter with me? All of this stuff. But it'll be interesting to see how things go in the future, isn't it?
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Great, fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I do as well. Look forward to it.
I could literally talk about this all day.